What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be for LFA 108 FREMD versus Rodrigues. So we're going to skip the prelims as per usual. Just interested in the ones we can bet on, right? So let's get right into the main card, man. And we got Tyler Ray coming up against Ernesto Ancona at 170 pounds. So Tyler Ray is 7-2. He is the more experienced of the two. Training out of Sanford MMA. Love to hear that. He has 7 LFA fights. 5 wins, 3 finishes, all 3 of them were submissions. He's got a round 1 ground and pound KO on Bellator, and he won his last fight in the beginning of this year by round 1 submission on XMMA. So he was supposed to fight Renato Valente here. That ended up falling through. I feel like that would have been a much tougher fight. Ray has good grappling. He's physically strong. He's got a nice build. He looks really muscular in the cage. He does bring a lot of pressure. He likes to back his opponents up. He wants to get it down. He's got decent striking in the meantime, before he gets in for those takedowns. And, he mixes in some low kicks. He's got a decent spread, of options that he can use. And for Ancona, he's 3-0. This is a short notice fight for him. He hasn't fought since 2014, so that's a really long layoff. When he was fighting, he didn't fight anybody who's on the level of Ray, I wouldn't say. And, he does have a wrestling background. That's probably the best base you can have in MMA, right? I'm guessing he's been somewhat active in the wrestling world, given that he's a coach now. I know it makes me a little more when I first saw this on paper, I'm like, oh, okay, this guy hasn't fought since 2014, chalk it up, right? But, that wrestling base makes me a little bit nervous. I feel like he could use that base, but I still don't think he can beat Tyler Ray here. This is a really tough fight to take, after a 7-year layoff, especially on short notice. I do think that Ray should be able to get it done. He's had the longer camp. He was gearing up to fight a tougher opponent. I believe that he does have the grappling to neutralize Ancona's attack, and I think that he probably has the better stand-up. Obviously, I'm not going to act like I've watched a bunch of tape on Ray. His last fight was in 2014, really difficult to find. So, keep that in mind. Give me the Sanford MMA product here. I'm gonna go with Tyler Ray in this one. And moving on to Bryce Meredith versus Stephen Marrow at bantamweight. So Meredith is 0-0, making his pro debut here. He was an excellent college wrestler, making the transition to MMA now. And he hasn't had any pro fights, but this does seem like a pretty good matchup. He's a massive favorite at -1,000, and he's coming in here against Stephen Marrow, who's 5-6. Not the best record. Definitely has the experience advantage, though. You got to give him that. He has a nice win over Jeff Molina back in 2017. That was when Jeff Molina was making his pro debut. But still, that's a UFC fighter. He had a loss to Yusuf Zalal. It's a UFC fighter. He's fought pretty decent guys. He's 0-3 in his LFA career. He has lost 4 straight fights. He's going to be hungry to get a win here. I just don't really see him dealing with the wrestling of Bryce Meredith that well in this one. So I'm going to be going with Bryce Meredith here. I'll take the All-American. I think he can ride his wrestling to a win, but -1,000 on a guy making his debut. Count me out of that one from a betting standpoint, guys, but I will go with Meredith. Moving on to Thomas Peterson and Richard Foster at heavyweight. So Peterson, if you watch a lot of LFA, you're probably familiar with this guy by now. He's been gaining a lot of traction in LFA. He's got a whole lot of power. He's got 4 fights and 4 round 1 finishes. It does make me a little bit nervous that he's never been past the first round, so there are some question marks about his gas tank. His longest fight has been 3.5 minutes. But he's shown up to fight in every single one and got the job done. He's 9-0 if you include his amateur career. As an amateur, he did go to decision once and did go to round 3 once. I guess he has been past the first round a couple times, but not as a pro. In his 9 total fights, he's got 8 finishes. 7 of those came in the first round. And, not too much to complain about, really, with Thomas Peterson at this point. Looking at Foster here, he's 6'6", so he's a really big guy. That could work in his favor, or it could just leave his chin really exposed to get tagged. He's probably fought around the same level as Thomas Peterson, I would say. If not, maybe a little bit better, but neither of them have fought really excellent competition. His striking defense isn't great, which really worries me, especially against a guy like Thomas Peterson, who has a lot of power. So give me Thomas Peterson in this one. I think that he's probably able to chin him and find another round 1 finish. So yeah, I'll go with Thomas Peterson. Moving on to Tiani Vale coming up against Katherine Papraki at 125 pounds. So Vale is 3-2. She's 8-2 as an amateur, so she has a lot of experience. She fought 3 times in 2019, but has not fought since. She's 26 years old, so still young, coming into her prime. She has a lot of power. She can knock people out. She comes out at, this comes at a price though, because she does tend to leave her chin exposed when she explodes inside and flurries. I would say she's probably the better athlete of the two. She does look pretty athletic. She had a fight against Carrie Melendez on Bellator. She got knocked down and then subbed in the first round. But that's definitely the best competition that either of these two have faced. Vale does have nice low kicks. She tends to flurry with some wild hooks, which sometimes leaves her exposed and makes her a little bit too hittable. But when she does connect, she can rock you. Looking at Papraki, she's 2-1. She has less experience, been more active recently. She's got a nice win on Invicta. Vale might have fought the better comp, but it's close. Melendez is, like I said before, definitely better than anyone Papraki has fought. But, I do like Papraki's feints. I like her head movement. I wouldn't say she's as athletic or as aggressive as Vale, but I think she fights a little bit smarter. If she doesn't push the pace, I feel like Vale could steal this one from her. So I am going to be going with Papraki here. I feel like she's slightly more polished and could get the win on good fight IQ and technique. But I do really like Vale's aggressiveness and willingness to push the pace. I think that could work out well for her here. She's definitely live. I'm going to slightly lean with Papraki, but in my opinion, the line is pretty accurate. This is very close to a pick'em, and it's going to be a close fight, I think. So moving on to Clayton Carpenter versus Nick Clem at flyweight. So Carpenter's 3-0 training out of the MMA lab. He won his LFA debut last year. He was 6-1 as an amateur, so in total he's 9-1. He's a decent striker, but he's always looking to close the distance and attempt those takedowns. He's a really good grappler. He is physically strong. He does a nice job of advancing and passing guard once he gets onto the ground. I like his teep kicks up the middle. Those front kicks are nice to keep the distance. And looking at Nick Clem, man, he's 3-1. He had a 7-3 amateur career. He started his pro career 3-0 and lost his most recent fight. In his pro career, he fought in 2017 and then 2018. He has not fought since then. He had 2 boxing matches last year where he was defeated in both, but boxing is not MMA, so I don't really put too much stock into that. I could only find amateur fights from him in terms of looking through tape. He looked pretty decent, somewhat dynamic striker. He has got some good grappling, some good jiu-jitsu, but I'm going to be going with Carpenter here, training out of the MMA lab. He's very focused right now. He's not taking breaks. I like his skill set, and I just think he's able to get it done. So, yeah, give me Clayton Carpenter in this one. And now, moving on to the co-main, we have Rodney Kialohi coming up against Mark Lamocco at flyweight as well. So, Kialohi is 5-1. He was supposed to fight earlier this year. Both of those bouts fell through. He's training at Jackson Wink. He's a really good kickboxer, very sharp strikes, dangerous in the stand-up. He's got, nice technique. He also looks for some flashier stuff, looks for some flying knees. He's aggressive, looks to put the pressure on you. All 5 of his wins are finishes by strikes. 4 of them have come in the first round. So, he's dangerous in that first round. He will have the size advantage here, both height and reach. And, Lamocco, 5-0. I really liked him in his last fight. He's an American Kickboxing Academy product. He looked really good in his LFA debut in his last fight. He has 5 wins, 3 of them are finishes. He picked up a round 1 TKO on Bellator. 23 years old, so still very young. Really nice footwork, really nice counter left hand. That might come in handy against Kialohi, who likes to, pressure in and can get a bit wild sometimes. Lamocco is a great grappler. He's got nice takedowns. He's a very well-rounded guy. He can end the fight in a variety of ways. I don't really have questions about his gas tank. I think he's in good shape. We've seen him go the distance. And yeah, Lamocco, I just think the longer this fight goes for him, the better it is. Kialohi is a dangerous striker, and he did make me think twice about this pick, but give me the AKA product here. I think he's more complete and has more tools at his disposal. So moving on to the main event, man, for the middleweight strap in LFA, we got Josh FREMD, a guy I'm really excited about coming in against Gregory Rodrigues. So FREMD is 7-1. He's got a big frame. He's got big power. He's 3-0 in the LFA with 3 round 1 knockouts. He looked great in his last fight against Bruno Oliveira. That was a tough matchup. He was able to stay calm under pressure and really do some good work. He had a sub finish on Bellator. He's got nice feints. He's got decent evasive head movement when he gets backed up. Nice low kicks. Underrated wrestler. People forget that about his game, I think, because he gets so many knockouts, but he is a good wrestler. He is strong, really strong in the clinch. He's got a really stiff counter 3, which I like, that left hand. And he's got a nice straight left, too. That jab is nice as well. So, I like what Josh FREMD is bringing to the table here. In terms of talking about Gregory Rodrigues, he's 8-3. He had a nice win in his last fight. He is big, he is long. But FREMD is taller and just as long as him. So I think that Rodrigues probably has the advantage on the ground in terms of jiu-jitsu. Wrestling-wise, I feel like FREMD does have the advantage. Rodrigues is a pretty good striker. He's best when he's the guy with the size advantage who's working from range and landing good strikes. He's not going to get that with Josh FREMD in this fight, though. We saw Rodrigues get chinned on Dana White's Contender Series not too long ago in the first round. 2 of his 3 losses have come by round 1 knockout, and I feel like FREMD is live to do the same thing here. So give me Josh FREMD in this one. He's looked really good lately. I think that FREMD can touch the chin with a few counters and get a finish in this fight, and also maybe look to work some takedowns. But if I was him, I'd be careful just with the jiu-jitsu of Rodrigues. But yeah, those are going to be my picks for this upcoming LFA card. This is a really stacked LFA card, man. When I looked at this on paper, I was like, wow, this should be a really fun night of fights. So yeah, those are going to be my picks for LFA. Best of luck if you choose to bet it, guys. Thank you for being locked in with me. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to watch, takes the time to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I appreciate you all, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.